if the leaders are thinking it's a 10-week course that'll change everything, and the frontline employee doesn't see they have the power to make an impact on somebody else's life, and they are the ambassador for the brand in that moment that will decide if that customer comes back, we've got to find a fresh way to communicate with both the leader and the frontline employee.
Welcome to Know Like Trust for Real Estate, where I help you craft branding and marketing strategies that align with your unique strengths. Agents who work with me grow their business on average 40% by aligning their marketing with who they are, not what they sell. Today is the third episode in our customer experience series. And today I'm super excited to be joined by Elizabeth Dixon. Elizabeth is a former executive at Chick-fil-A. She's also a nationally recognized speaker and an author, and she helps organizations build long-lasting relationships, trust, and loyalty with their customers. So today we're going to get into her book, The Power of the Customer Experience, and I'm super excited about it. Let's go ahead and get to it. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being on the Know Like Trust pod. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I'm so excited to talk to you about customer experience. We're going to dig into your book, The Power of the Customer Experience, which I have right here.
Love it.
I want to know, before you wrote that book, what was it that you were seeing? I mean, you've been an executive at Chick-fil-A, like you've worked for the Ritz, you're on the national speaking stage all the time. Was there something that happened that you were seeing over and over again that made you think that this was an important topic to talk about?
Yes. Specifically in my time at Chick-fil-A, it's such a loved brand. And so we would have so many companies and organizations reaching out saying, will you teach us your training model? Will you just tell us what you do that is going to make our organization be so successful in customer experience? And at that time, I was leading hospitality for the business. And we would have these workshops where companies would come and we would host them and feed them lunch. And it'd be a full day thing and say, hey, here are things we've learned that work or don't work. But most of the companies that would come, it was like they just wanted this 10-week course, or it was like the magic pill that was just going to change everything. And I thought, oh my, this is really dangerous, because customer experience, it starts with the mindset of the individuals that lead the company, that create the culture, that select the people, that, pursue the customer needs and their values. It is this really intricate, like within the DNA of the company. It's not just a training module that you're going to roll out to the company and it changes everything. So that was one part. The second part was I found that frontline employees didn't understand the power that they held in how they treated the customer. They felt like this is just another job. It's just an hourly job. Like I'm low on the totem pole. But the reality is the customer is won or lost at that interaction.
Sure.
And I thought, oh no, if the leaders are thinking it's a 10-week course that'll change everything, and the frontline employee doesn't see they have the power to make an impact on somebody else's life, and they are the ambassador for the brand in that moment that will decide if that customer comes back, we've got to find a fresh way to communicate with both the leader and the frontline employee. And then the third part is I was leading this for a great brand and business, and I had plenty of resources and books. But we at the time had 250,000 team members across the country, and I couldn't find a single book about customer experience for them. And I thought, honestly, I don't need the books. They're the magic makers of this brand. We need resources that will inspire them. So those were the three parts that I thought, maybe there's enough room on the library shelf for another book that can help inspire
Heck yeah.
people.
Oh my God. And that's really what you started with, which was mindset, followed by culture.
Yes.
And then I think it was know your customer.
Yes. Great job.
Right? And then
you said it a minute ago, customer experience. Yes.
Differentiation. Right. And then innovation.
That's exactly right.
Yes. And then
in that order.
Yes, in that order, which I thought was really, really brilliant. And now that you really explain it in the context of the Chick-fil-A experience, that makes so much sense. It really has to be ingrained in the organization, and it has to be part of your value system.
Otherwise, it's inauthentic.
Yes.
It won't show up. It'll be a slogan. It'll be a seasonal push. It's like, oh, what's the flavor of the week now that we're going to do as a company? The employees will see right through it, because if they don't experience it, they can't create it.
Yes. And you have to own that and live it every single day. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's think about the real estate agent. So essentially the real estate agent, who are the bulk of our listeners, are solopreneurs.
Yes.
So the great thing is they get to decide what their mindset's going to be, what their culture of their business is going to be. You know, from your perspective, like, what is one element, like what's one mindset change or shift that a real estate agent could implement today to sort of start the wheels turning?
In the book, I talk about 4 for customer experience. There's, probably a list of 100 different mindsets we can choose. I was thinking this morning, I was working out, thinking about being a mom, and I was thinking about what is my mindset for being a mom? Like that changes everything. And I was like, I did not get into this motherhood thing for me. They do not exist like for me and my happiness. My role in being a mom is to help equip them to be contributors to society in the future. Right. And that changes everything. Because if it's for me, then I'm probably not going to dish out consequences to hold them to a standard the same as if, I'm trying to help them be kind, compassionate, empathetic, strong, the next generation that will be here when I'm not. So anyway, there's lots of mindsets we can have. And I was coaching myself through like, all right, Elizabeth, like put on your mama mindset about how you're going to help guide them through these preteen and teen years. Yes. But in the book, I talk about 4 mindsets specifically around customer experience. And all of these we can put on. The first one is a mindset of excellence. Excellence is the 90% of work that people don't see. It's the cold calls. It's getting yourself revved up again and getting out there. It's going to that social event that you honestly don't want to go to, but it's really good for networking. It's, putting yourself out there on social media, whatever the tactics are that are going to help grow your business. It's that hard work, and it's doing it in a way that you really can be proud of. The second one is a mindset of empathy. It's really putting yourself in your customer's shoes. I think it can be easy that it's just another closing, another process, but this is a lot of money for the client. It's probably the largest purchase they will ever make. And so not falling into a trap of treating it like just another thing, but really stewarding the people and the emotions that are going to come with that decision. And the whole process. So a mindset of excellence, a mindset of empathy, a mindset of empowerment. Yeah. Being a solopreneur, you are ridiculously in charge. And it's kind of like, if you don't do it, no one else is doing it. A lot of times empowerment shows up in the bigger organizations where it's like, I'm not allowed to do that. And leaders really need to give permission. If they want their frontline employees to create exceptional experiences, they have to empower them and say, hey, within these boundaries, you have freedom. But I think sometimes as solopreneurs, we have to kind of look at ourselves and be like, get on there, girl. Like, get out there. You're empowered. Go do the thing. Be gritty. Like, what would I do if I had less time and fewer resources? How can I be a little bit more gritty in it? So be empowered. And then the last one is a mindset of engagement. And I think this one can be hard because markets and interest rates, and there's a lot of external forces that can make the life and the reality of a real estate agent more difficult. Lawsuits that change when commission rates are in the conversation, and feeling like you have to represent your value instead of it just being understood. And how do I talk about that? And, a mindset of engagement is just, it's being in the game. It's being in the conversation. A friend of mine the other day was talking about technology in schools and like, gosh, I just hate it that the school allows this. And I thought, let's do something about it. Why don't we have a conversation? Let's do something about this. So a mindset of engagement, I think it doesn't sit on the sidelines. It doesn't just be like, I wish that wasn't true. It's like, what if we could change this? What is in my kind of sphere or my domain that I could impact to make this different for my community, myself, this industry, whatever that is. So those are 4 mindsets that we can put on, and they sound in our heads very unique. Like a mindset of excellence is why not my best? Why not my best? It's not going to the extreme of like, I have to do everything perfect, but it's also not like, good enough. And the sound and the voice of that shapes how we behave, and then how we behave, it shapes our results. And that's why mindset is so important, is the story we tell ourselves actually determines what we're going to show up and do every day. Yeah. And that is going to determine our outcomes.
Okay. So, first of all, that was like beautiful, like incredible. Let's talk about outcomes. What do you think the real cost is when organizations or solopreneurs say customer experience isn't that important, or maybe they don't outwardly say that, but maybe they don't, think about it in a real deep way as part of their culture, as part of their, the pillars of value.
A real reality is that a lot of times when things get hard, financially, the first things to go are employee experience and then customer experience. And one's a lead and the other's the lag indicator. So bigger businesses, the environment, the culture, the employee experience overflows onto the customer, and that creates the customer experience. There's an authenticity between whatever the culture is like within the company. It's just going to flow out onto the customer. It's not going to be toxic in here and delightful out there. No, you've been in a store where you're like, whoa,
yes,
something's going on there.
Yeah.
We were actually at an enterprise rental location, and my husband was returning a car, and he had a poor experience when he first got the car. And he said something to the employee about it, and she was like, it was her boss. And she's like, yep, like she was very appropriate, but it's like that experience, it starts with that leader. It's, got all on my husband, but it's that employee's reality each and every day. Ugh. So I think that first we have to go back and see the customer experience is an overflow of the culture and the employee experience. The culture is what causes people to leave, to stay, whether they're an employee or a customer. So I think that's one of the best ways to help people see the impact, is that if you want greater retention rates of employees and customers, then the experience is going to be something that you're going to prioritize.
100%.
If you don't, like if that doesn't matter to you and you're in this magical business that has this flow of customers that will not stop no matter how poorly you treat them, then I guess you don't really have to worry about it. But most of us out there are needing to treat people in such a way that they say, I would rather choose them than go to any of the other competitors because of the way they made me feel.
Yes, 100%. It's so I always talk about this quote from Maya Angelou, which is, people will forget what you did, they'll forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I think, you said maybe, some organizations don't have to worry about the churn or they don't have to worry about retention. But I think I would argue that more and more these days, they do need to worry about that, right? Because there's so much competition out there. Doesn't every company really need to take a hard look at customer service and excellence and infuse that into their business? Hasn't there been a shift?
I think so, because the customer is more in control than they've ever been. We have louder voices as consumers. We have platforms, we have reviews, we have more options, to your point, that we can go somewhere else. Products and services are so easy to replicate and mimic.
Yes.
Experience is really hard because it's humans. I'm preparing for a talk in 2 weeks with an airline. And I thought, I really want to get to the heart of this. What's the hardest part of your job?
Yeah.
And what's the best part of your job? And I think the answer is the same.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yes.
Like, people are the greatest struggle, but they're also like the most beautiful part, because at the end of the day, most of us are in the people business. We are serving people. We are working with other people, and people, we're just messy because we have expectations and we have feelings, and we want to blame, and we want to feel better, and we want to complain about stuff. And so we just have to walk around holding all of these feelings and emotions of other people. And that can get really exhausting. I had a call with a gal that I work with for our sleepwear business, for Slumber Sleepwear today, and she leads wholesale sales. And she had just gotten off a phone call with a different organization of a customer that she was talking to, and they just wanted to vent. And a lot of times we have an opportunity when people are upset that we can build trust with them by just being a safe place for them to get their frustration out. And I said to her, I was like, do you need to get that out and off to me? Like, here's a moment if you need to vent anything. And I think we have to create space for each other, that when we have those moments when people are complaining at us, we have to let that out somewhere. But all of it builds trust. It builds loyalty. It ultimately grows the organization.
Yeah.
So should everybody focus on it? I think so, because customers have more choice, and it's easy to replicate the thing, the gadget, the service that you provide, but it's really hard to replicate the experience that wraps it up and causes people to go, I trust them. I feel safe with them. They've got my back. And that's what causes people to tell others and to come back and be loyal.
Yes, I love that. I had a conversation with an attorney friend of mine earlier this week, and she was telling me that she's a real estate attorney, of course.
Yes.
And, she was really explaining to me how, you get what you pay for. And the reason we were talking about this was she was, not disrespectfully talking about other firms, but just comparing the way she performs, her business for her clients. And then, others kind of have, it's volume and value, they just are wanting to turn as many transactions as possible. Whereas she's a lot more thoughtful, she's more expensive, but she's also, going to make sure that, you are first and foremost, her responsibility, and she's going to advocate for you, till the end. And I think that consumers do have choices between the two types. There's always a volume and value. There's always a discounter, right?
Yeah.
And you can choose that, and that's okay. And you can be that, and that's okay. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more value, with a little more high touch, with, a little bit more attention to detail, then, you're probably going to pay a little bit more, or you're going to pay what it's worth, is really what it is.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I completely agree. And there are customers, as long as the Temus of the world exist, like to your point, like there are times where we want just cheap and that's it. But for the things that matter most, if we're a quality driven person, then we see the value in what it's going to take to do something with excellence and to do it right. And that is going to matter to us.
Let's talk about trust and loyalty. Yeah. You had so many wonderful examples in your book, and I'm thinking of two of them, but I would love, let's see if we're on the same wavelength.
Okay.
I would love for you to give an example of an experience where, trust was reinforced, and one where trust was really eroded.
That's good. Okay, well, from the book, trust was definitely reinforced with me personally, with this woman named Linda from Nordstrom. Yay! Okay, I got it right. Survey says. My daughter and I, she's 10 now, and we were shopping, and, she'd been to a mall twice in her life. Like, this generation is just growing up with everything comes to our door. And I had an ulterior motive to find a very particular, pair of pants that I would feel great speaking in. And, I masked it as this mother-daughter day, but you just don't go into things with that kind of an ulterior motive. It just is going to blow up in your face. So anyway, she's done. She was probably done by store 2. And I'm like, I still don't have my pants. And so, and I probably hadn't been to a mall in a year. And so we walked into Nordstrom and I was exhausted and she's over it. We get up to the women's section. I said, Ansley, I would just love to look at this store to see maybe if they have a pair of pants. We get up there and it was just like she created this space around her where she didn't even have to say much, but I probably vomited verbally, I just see pants and it's for this talk. And, she just looked at me. She's like, I got you. And she took us into the biggest dressing room she had. It had those 3 mirrors. Ansley's coming alive. She's singing Let It Go from Frozen and having the time of her life. And I'm like, go on, girl. And Linda is just bringing me pants. And I end up falling in love with this pair of pants that I was like, they're how much? But I did it because I was like, I'm buying these pants. And I still own them and I love them.
Good for you.
But when I went to check out, I was like, I want to check out with her. And so I found where she was on the floor and I went over to check out with her. And I was, she had given me tips on what kind of belt I could wear and all these things. And I just wanted to thank her. And so I checked out. And as we're finishing up, she's like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Did my credit card not go through? Am I about to be embarrassed? What's going on? And she's like, I am so sorry. I don't have any more tissue paper. And I was like, oh, I could care less about tissue paper. I got pants. I am winning. I just receipt so I don't get in trouble and I'm out of this place. But it really stood out to me because the way she said it, it had so much dignity in it of no. I don't do stuff half-hearted. No. At Nordstrom, we treat you well. You deserve tissue paper. I just thought, wow, she gets it. She's Linda who works at Nordstrom, and she's going to take pride in the work that she does.
Yep.
And those kind of moments, they create a connection. I've never met the CEO of Nordstrom, but I don't have to because they're creating a culture. The team is empowering the Lindas of the world to create an experience that makes me go, when it's time to buy pants, I'm going to go back to Nordstrom. There's another fun story in the book about, I actually have a process that before the book gets to the final draft, I have a group of about 15 people read it from different businesses, from different angles and see what I'm missing. And one of the things that for this book I got feedback on was I was missing the what's in it for me. And I was like, ooh, that's good. They're like, the frontline employee, they need to know what's in it for them if they create a good experience. Yes. I was like, good point. And then one of the women on the call, she spoke up and she said, oh, I have a great story about that. And I was like, oh, what's your story? She said, my son, he worked for Jimmy John's and he did delivery. It was during the summer and he would do the deliveries and accidentally one of the customers double ordered. And so when he went to take the delivery, he was going to be charged twice and there was going to be another order coming. And the customer met him in the lobby of this big building in Buckhead, Atlanta. And it was actually the CEO of this company, but her son didn't know that. And so he was delivering the order and the customer shared the problem, accidentally 2 orders, another one's coming, And her son, this young man, took it upon himself, was empowered and engaged enough to go, I'm going to fix this. And he fixed it.
Wow.
He could have just been like, peace, whatever, I'm out. Yeah. But he didn't. He fixed it. And that customer said, hey, before you go, I want you to come meet somebody. Introduces him to the VP of HR and basically offers him a job right there.
Oh my God.
I know. But great people notice people who do a great job. Yes. Yep. And it's like when you're in business, you're looking for great people when you go out to restaurants, when you're shopping in stores. Yes. And when you spot that talent, you're like, I would hire them right now.
100%.
And so we notice people who do a great job at their job. And that's the win, is that when you're continually pursuing excellence in how you show up, people notice, and it's going to lead to future opportunities, referrals, growth opportunities, because 100%. I think we admire excellence and people doing a great job.
Oh my God, you're getting me so jazzed up. Because I just remember myself as a kid, right? And I mean, one of the things my dad is so small of an example, but like my dad taught me to have a firm handshake.
Yes.
And look somebody in the eye.
Yes.
Like, I remember being a kid thinking very embarrassed, like you're going to think I'm weird, But it's one of the things I remember being taught as a kid, and it served me well over time, it really has. Because you make eye contact with somebody and shake their hand firmly, that's a connection.
And that builds trust.
Yes.
Simple behavior, big impact.
And you talk about impact in the book too. And I want to get to that, but I want to hear your eroding trust story.
Oh gosh, they're the less fun ones. Eroding trust. Gosh, we were on a flight. Airline will remain nameless. David was 6. So this was 6 years ago. We're on this flight and we had taught, similar to your dad, we had taught the kids to speak for themselves, order for themselves. And so when we go out to restaurants, we like, what do you want? Okay, great. Okay, you're going to ask the wait staff for this. So we're on the flight. The flight attendant comes to ask for our drink orders. And my son says, what are my options? And she says, I know. I was like, that's cute. He says, what are my options? And she looks at me and she goes, well, that's the worst question ever.
Come on.
I was like, oh my.
Mama Bear.
And so Mama Bear, I wanted to just but I didn't. And she lists off apple juice, orange juice, soda, this, that. Probably the most annoying thing for a flight attendant to have to go through again. I'm sure it's in the seat back in front of us. It's on the card, whatever. But she decides to let that out on a 6-year-old child. And I just thought, we all have bad days. We all have crummy moments.
Yeah.
But we don't get to treat people with disrespect.
That's right.
And I think
even a 6-year-old.
Even a 6-year-old. And he looked at me like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, of course.
And I just said, you're good. You're good. Yeah. That happened to my dad actually one time at a fast food restaurant. He wanted to try this product and it was at a restaurant near his office. And I spent 10 years of my career in health and wellness and then 10 years leading hospitality for Chick-fil-A, 3 in the movie industry, and then now sleepwear speaking, consulting, all that. He's like, yeah, I wanted to try this product. It's called a Whopperito. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's like a heart attack in a tortilla. And, but he's like, yeah, I really wanted to try it. So he went to the location and he said, I'd like to try the Whopperito. And the girl replies back to him and she says, we don't have that. What do you want?
Yeah, I remember this.
And I was like, it's very interesting. And my dad, type A guy, CEO, he has a special vein that kind of
pops out.
And I was like, oh no, did the vein come out? What did you say? He's like, well, I thought, maybe she just didn't understand. So I kind of went back through the commercials and the billboards and I was like, well, here is what it is. It's this fluffy tortilla and this is what's in it and it's wrapped up and it's this. And I'd really like to try one. And she goes, we don't have that. What do you want?
Oh my God.
And I was like, what'd you do? And my dad said, I'm never going back. He
Yeah.
said, I left, I went somewhere else for lunch, and I'm never going back. That was 12 years ago.
Wow. He's never been back.
Nope.
Good for him.
Not that location, but that brand. He
Yeah.
won't go to that brand because the frontline employee, I don't think she understood the difference she could make. I don't think she woke up that morning and is like, I just want to make everyone's lives horrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think she understood the impact she would make. And I don't think the leader of that location understood the impact that they were making on the culture that they were creating. But that's what happens is as leaders, if we don't create a culture that our employees are going to thrive and flourish in, they're not going to create a customer experience where customers are going to want to come back.
Yeah.
And I think that when we understand that, we treat our people, we train our people, we empower our people, we select our people differently because they're really gatekeeping the love for the brand, or,
100%.
They're turning people away.
Yeah. Let's talk about impact, which is at the end of your book. Because when I think about those frontline people, and really real estate agents are the frontline people as well, what's in it for them is it's more than a paycheck.
Yeah.
Right? It's more than a paycheck. So talk about that impact.
In the second book I have about purpose, I think purpose is something we have to answer for ourselves. For us, what's my purpose? And then when we get to work with an organization who has a purpose that's greater than the product or the service, we get to be a part of something that is more meaningful.
Yeah.
We were designed to come alive with that. We were designed to be able to be a part of something that's grander and bigger than what we can just do by ourselves. And so when we understand the way that our choices impact other people's experiences, it changes our mindset for how we're going to show up every day. We're in a tough place right now as a country because I don't think we're realizing these things. I don't think we're realizing the comments that we make on social media, the way that we attack. We're just so quick to anger.
Yeah.
And anger stems from scared or sad. Like there's very few times that we have anger come out that it doesn't go back to a root of scaredness for something or sadness for something. And so when we can realize my choices are going to impact more than just me in how I show up and how I look people in the eye, how I treat them with honor, dignity, and respect, how I do for them the way I would hope somebody would do for me, like really simple things, that those behaviors create an impact on them. There's a gentleman that I was on the phone with the other day. I'm doing a talk for Delta, and I asked for some great customer stories. And this gentleman had sent an email to Ed Bastian about his experience in a Sky Club. And I got on the phone with him and I said, so tell me what happened. And he said, one of the staff for the Sky Club came over, looked me in the eye, asked me how I'm doing. She genuinely cared. And she asked if she could get me a cup of coffee. That's all. Like she didn't there wasn't this insane, had you ever even imagined something so gracious could happen in your life? No, it was eye contact. It was genuinely caring, and then it was serving and doing something. Yeah. And I think if we knew the power that has, that when we look someone in the eye, when we show them that they matter because they do, and we serve them in a way that says, I care about you, it has a ripple impact. And I think we show up better, we treat people kinder. I think the government's getting involved with recommendations for what we wear on flights because they think that's going to help us not have travel rage, and we're going to be nicer because we shouldn't be in these leisure clothes, but we should be fancier. I don't think it's just what we're wearing physically. I think it's what we're wearing in our in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And if the overflow of our heart is speaking kindness to people and it's smiling at people and it's saying, I hope you have a great day. And I really do hope you have a great day. I think that we're almost caught off guard by that kindness.
We totally
and then
are.
we're going to pay it forward and we're going to take that little bit of eye contact and kindness and go spread that to somebody else. That's the impact that customer experience has. And we get to do that with everybody we come in contact with, from the person who's delivering our mail to the person that we see at the grocery store to our friends. And it's small, it's simple, but it reminds us all that you matter, you're important, and I care about you.
And oh my God, I love that. It also makes you feel better too. Right? Like one of the questions one of the things I invite my clients to do is that whenever you're about to have an interaction with a client, a customer, whether it's a text message or on the phone or an in-person or a Zoom, whatever it is, I want you to ask this question: how do I want this person to feel at the end of our interaction?
Oh, that's so good.
Right? And it just changes the whole trajectory of the conversation, especially when it's going to be a difficult conversation.
Yes.
How do I want to leave this person feeling? It changes how you go into it. I have a Delta story for you.
Okay.
If it'll help your talk.
Please. Perfect.
So again, it's super, super simple. And I tweeted all about it. Like I tried to get it out there on social media because I just felt so good about it. Long story, my mom was supposed to come on a trip with us. She had to cancel for personal reasons. So we got the refund of her ticket, but it was in her name. Even though my husband and I paid for it for her, it was in her name. And so we wanted to take that credit and move it into, for a trip for us.
Yeah.
You can't do it online. If it's in somebody else's name, like you just can't do it. So Elizabeth, I dreaded picking up the phone because I knew I was going to go through 5 million, AI agents before I got to a human.
Yes.
And I only went through a couple of clicks, but now I forget her name. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get that name for you. I forget her name.
Yeah.
She was amazing on the phone. I said, this is my situation. I don't know what to do. How can you help me? And she said, we just need to get your mom on the phone. That's all. She needs to give you permission. I need to hear her give you permission. Now, I did that. My mom was amazing on the phone and I got the money back. She got it all figured out while I was on the phone with her. She was communicating with me while she was plugging away. Long story short, she got it done and she was lovely about it. And she didn't give me any attitude. She was a problem solver.
Yes.
Now afterwards, I said to my mom, like, how did she even, what if I was lying and you weren't really my mom?
My mom.
Right? But thankfully that wasn't the case. But anyway, she was amazing. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had such a positive experience on the phone with an airline before. It was just great.
I would love that. It's interesting. You said she solved my problem and she didn't give me attitude.
Yeah.
The bar is so low.
It totally is.
It
totally is.
I think sometimes the more aspirational of us, we can come up with all the ways to go so far above and beyond and wow people. But if we just consistently do what we say we're going to do and do it in a way that cares for the other person, we are winning. We are light years ahead.
100%. Okay, we're going to wrap up here. The other story I thought you were going to tell was the ice cream story.
Oh, yes. The ice cream story.
But you're going to have to read the book to get the ice cream story.
There you go. Buy the book on Amazon and read the ice cream story. It will.
Exactly.
It's a good one.
It is called The Power of Customer Experience, 5 Elements to Make an Impact by Elizabeth Dixon. You can also go to elizabethdixon.com and you can buy it right from your website, right?
There you go. Yes.
Okay. We're going to put this in the show notes. But before we go, I would love for you to answer this question.
Okay.
Know, like, trust is.
It's good. That's good. It's an equation for impacting people and growing your business. in a way that you're going to be proud of over time.
Love it. And on that note, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you loved our conversation, I would love it if you would share it with a friend. Go ahead and follow us, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. And if you're interested in joining our newsletter, sign up for my newsletter, The Sunbeam. Go to postandbeamcreative.com. I'm Christine George, and you're listening to Know Like Trust for Real Estate.